boys. As we all know, Michael Dara was part of one of the greatest teams to ever play the game, and now it's time to welcome a man from the great Derry one-in-a-row team from 1993. I'm going to get into so much trouble for that. Who also had the misfortune of playing with me at Queen's back in the day. Thankfully, though, he's recovered from that trauma, and we now both make a living doing exactly the same thing, talking out of our arses. Would you please welcome Mr. Joe Brolly! I'm loving the celebration. Oh, dear.
Just can't believe you're sitting in Gay Byrne's seat.
Neither can I.
We were talking about you during the week and the connections that we all have, especially in the north in the GAA. Fergal McCusker rang me, and I was talking to John Finucane, whose father was murdered like your own. And he now introduces himself as John Finucane, Member of Parliament for North Belfast. And after the Watty Grahams won the All-Ireland club title 2 months ago, I drank pints with Kevin Strahern, who you played with as well, whose father was murdered too. Yeah. He describes himself as one of the leading architects in the north. And, you know, it's incredible the connections that we have through the GAA and the depth of those connections. I remember you, he was unbelievable, you know. Before he had even done an open mic night in the Queen's team, we came in from a Sigerson final, which I think we'd lost, a Sigerson final.
It was first chance if I was playing, Joe.
And the manager was Desi Ryan from the Loch Shore, and Desi talked like that. Yeah. And Paddy stood up on the table and impersonated Desi Ryan for about 10 minutes. Do you remember that? And everybody was laughing. You know, this despair turned to...
You know what I love? You know what I love about Joe? I love the fact that you sat down and we didn't even have to ask a question, Joe. This is what was so appealing. And by the way, we have to apologise here to Michael Dara. Genuinely, we had no idea whenever we booked Joe that Derry were going to beat the Dubs on Sunday. So I'm so sorry. I know you're still coming down from the high of that.
Yeah. Darragh O'Shea said to me once, Derry are a great team in the league. And, you know, those bigger days are to come. But, I mean, I was so glad when you invited me on with Michael Dara. He's one of my favourite people in the world. Extraordinary. He's the only person in the history of the GAA who turned up to his first All-Ireland final. And he's sitting, Pat Gilroy says, me and Pat were in Trinity, so Pat, very fond of Dara, and says that Michael Dara was really the driving force behind that Dublin revolution, you know. He said that Pat, he says, right, lads, you know, get your gear on. And he realises after a minute that Michael Dara's still sitting in his socks. And he starts to think, fuck me, he says. Tell me he hasn't forgotten his football boots. So he gives him the eye, you know. He says, like this, yeah, I forgot my football boots. Pat had to give him his. Of course, he went on to give one of the great performances in an All-Ireland final. He reminds me of, do you remember the Asterix and Obelix cartoons? Obelisk, who fell into the magic potion when he was a child. Yes. And I mean, that's what he's like. He's an extraordinary human being who has devoted his life to others. And, you know, I say that's why he's got a clear conscience, because that's what he does. Well,
that's what he does. But, you know, but the other thing you're talking about there, you know, when you came out was that sense of GAA community. And, you know, when you look at the work that Michael Dara is doing, the work that you're doing with cystic fibrosis and organ donation, and all of that ties in, doesn't it? You know, in terms of the fabric of who you are and who the GAA is.
Well, it's far more important than a game. You know, I realised after we'd won the All-Ireland that it was such an anticlimax. I mean, you would not believe that he was a Gaelic footballer, Michael Dara, and, you know, the things that he does that people aren't aware of. I mean, he asked me, he works with the men's health programme in Dublin. You know, isolated men, underprivileged, maybe recovering from drug addiction, alcohol addiction. He asked me to come and spend a day with him, and he's one of the driving forces behind it, you know. And after about 6 weeks, these men started to develop confidence. I mean, who wouldn't with his, you know, this extraordinary spirit that he has hovering around. I mean, I went out with Michael Dara. Remember we had the pints and went into his local, you say. And this could only happen with Michael Dara. Like, I'm 54 now.
You're looking awful well.
I ended up with him dancing in a Chinese restaurant. And you say, yeah, you were with Michael Dara, yeah. And he's got that extraordinary, love for other people and devotion to other people. That is very like, the cystic fibrosis thing. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Again, the idea of giving to others and devoting your life to others, I see that with the mothers of cystic fibrosis children, and the links again through the GAA. Like, I was talking to Gary Dempsey this week, St Eunan's Letterkenny, fanatical Donegal man, and I first met him in St Vincent's Hospital, and he was in isolation here with about 6-8 weeks to live, needed a double lung transplant. And Gary Dillon from Sligo, Colliery, St Joseph's, who you met through, was in the next room. And they talked about each other so affectionately. And the more I got to know them both, and it was about 3 months down the line when I realised they'd never seen each other because they had to be isolated from each other. And a few weeks after that, Gary Dempsey got his double lung transplant. And that September, the two of us went to the All-Ireland football final together. And Gary Dillon didn't. And he died. And maybe 6 weeks after he died, this package arrived in our house. And there was a wee note from his mother, Mary, to say, Gary wanted your oldest son to have his beloved Colliery St Joseph's jersey. So, he wears that with pride. And these connections that we have, like this rose that I'm wearing tonight, that was a dying girl from Mayo. Laura Donlan, who again needed a transplant, didn't get the transplant. And she said to me, promise me that you'll wear this, always. So I'm so terrified of losing it. I only wear it now on good occasions, and I've got other replacements that I wear when I'm doing it. And she said to me, just to illustrate again the deeper importance of Gaelic football, not about winning so much, it's about this sense of community. I know you know me, sense of empathy.
Win, lose or draw, people are there for other people.
Exactly. So she said, look, she made me promise, it was only a few days before she died, if Mayo win the All-Ireland, right, you have to promise me that you'll wear the Mayo jersey in the RTE studio straight after the final whistle. This is true. And the Mayo, and I was so convinced, 2016, I said, they're definitely going to win it. You could,
Who were playing?
Dublin. And 2017, I brought the jersey. Mayo County Board made a special jersey. And I brought the jersey and I had it there, and I told everybody that they're going to win it. And I'm telling you, it was the day that I realised there is a curse of Mayo. Because they scored 2 own goals. And there'd never been one, I checked this, there'd never been one own goal in the entire history of All-Ireland finals. And in 7 minutes, Mayo scored 2 own goals. Yeah.
We have to ask, okay, Michael Dara, Joe is smiling now with the league. Do you think he's going to be smiling in it feels weird to say, I want to say September, July. It feels very, very weird. What do we think?
Well, that's that kind of like that spirit of community where we're very generous, and we said we'd take the league and just be like, we're real givers in the community. So it's a long out summer, and I know the Dubs are going to be looking forward to it. Yeah,
it's a long out summer. Would you say, Joe, that the Mickey Hart's the missing piece of the jigsaw up there?
I refuse to answer that question. The game was, it was a wonderful adventure for Derry. And, we had that bitter experience last year against Kerry where that 5 minutes, we lost it at the end. When Kerry, I think, felt this game's gone from us. And that's that matchless period that these boys revelled in, he revelled in. Extraordinary in that last sort of 5 minutes. And so Derry have been driven on, I think, by that Kerry defeat. And we are very close now, but Dublin are number one, and that's where it all is, because they've done it so many times. And there is that thing which you have to be a pig to go and win in All-Ireland. Like the year we won it, the training was outrageous. There were fist fights in the training. There was no quarter given, because it wasn't about the glamour of winning in All-Ireland. It was about realising we can win this, and if we don't win this, we've let ourselves down. There's it's about loyalty somehow more than anything else, and meeting your old teammates.
And looking them in the eye and realising...
No, just being totally relaxed in their company, and nobody ever mentions medals or anything like that. You know, no more than him. I mean, you'd never know that he played Gaelic football. I mean, one of my favourite stories
Take all of these with a pinch of salt.
Pat Gilroy tells about Michael Dara. You see, they were playing Tyrone and they were gunning for Tyrone because Tyrone had been beating them regularly, and Tyrone through the noughties had really been, you know, they'd been the team of the noughties.
Yeah, no, we know, Joe, we know.
And rotten. I'm not going to say this. I can't say this. And so Dublin Pat had cleared out the old brigade, and he'd brought in all these boys, the Dirty Dozen, as he called them, Philly McMahon, all these guys, and the training was ferocious. Pat did the 6 o'clock in the morning training sessions, just pushing them to the limits to see. He said you couldn't sicken him. You know, he ran out the bleep test. You couldn't sicken him. Is that all you've got? Is that all you've got? And they played Tyrone in a crucial league game, and Pat has targeted it. And he says to Michael Dara in the changing room, and there's an atmosphere of war in the changing room, and he says to Michael Dara, and you know, Pat's massive, he says, you're picking up Sean Kavanagh. And he says, Michael Dara looked at him blankly and said, what does he look like? And Ray Boyne, this is true.
This is true. I know this is true.
Ray Boyne had to download pictures of Sean Kavanagh onto his tablet and show them to him. And then thereafter, he would make up a wee booklet of the player that Michael Dara was marking, and put pictures of him in the booklet.
And that is why he is the man that he is.
I know him now because he runs past me for the last 10 years. I know him well, Sean. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Boys, can I just say...
I want to say one thing, though, if you're cutting this off.
No, I wasn't cutting you off, was it?
Oh, because I want you to mention the cystic fibrosis before we're finished.
I'm just about to do that. I'm just about to give all the details and all the good stuff. Can I just say, you're talking about sitting in Gayborn seat, to sit in this seat and just see the love-in between these two men, right, has been one of the great joys of being in this chair. Would you give it up one more time for Joe Brolly, Michael Darragh Macauley? You can support Cystic Fibrosis Ireland on 65 Roses Day next Friday. It is April the 12th. You can donate online at 65roses.ie or by purchasing a purple rose in participating outlets nationwide.